So Fairy Tail Chapter 159 has officially come out, and man, do I love this chapter. Not only do we get some really cool action with ERZA in this chapter, but we also have Mashima just being kind of gloating about all the series he's created. Because, trust me, the latter portion of this chapter is basically all references to his previous series, and I kind of love it. It's kind of his style, and I kind of really like it. I'll get into what he shows later down the road. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys really enjoy the content on this channel and shows you want to see more. I've been liking this arc of Fairy Tail so far, so my hopes keep getting higher, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Also, before we jump into things, I just hit 17,000 subscribers a couple of days ago, and if we keep up this momentum, we might hit 20,000 by the end of the month. I know I'm highballing it here, but I really think we can do that, and we can exceed that by the end of the year. So, I'm already way past my initial subscriber goals for the year, and I am just hyped to see what happens next. Trust me, I'll have something planned in the future, but for now, let's jump right into this chapter. So chapter 159 of 100 Years Quest, titled Fire Illusion Revels, as the cover page is Flare playing with a little Lucy doll. Happy to see Flare again. Honestly, it'd be pretty interesting if she showed up in an actual arc about fire wizards, as her hair does have the properties of fire, which is honestly pretty cool. But no time for comedic stuff or wholesome stuff, because we're jumping right into the action as Wed is staring down ERZA. ERZA asks how she can help him, and Wed just unleashes their sword and puts it ablaze. And she's like, "Are you mad? There are people in town." And she realizes that it's a flaming sword. But Wed ends up charging right at her. And ERZA says, "I don't know who you are, but if you draw on your sword, you must be prepared to be cut down," as she puts on her armor and grabs her trusty sword as the two of them now clash. Civilians obviously run away from the literal superhumans fighting right now, as Wed continues to throw blazing sword slashes at ERZA. ERZA parries each and every one of them, until the flaming sword of Wed shatters ERZA's sword to her shock. And she tumbles back, and then re-equips into one of my personal favorite armors, her Fire Empress armor. And honestly, this is the armor that has to be her go-to for the rest of the arc, because this gives her a boost in her own fire-type weapons, but also gives her a strong resistance to fire-type magic. So I really do think, if she wants to win these fights, she has to stay in this, or at least a combo dress similar to this. But Wed and ERZA lunge at each other, and they continuously clash, with ERZA still parrying and blocking some blows, as she narrowly manages to block a close one from Wed. And the aftershock burns the ship behind her. So yeah, ERZA asks who this person is. And Wed says, "You're as skilled with a sword as your reputation suggests. No wonder you're number one with the sword in Ishgal." ERZA, being humble, just basically says, "There are plenty of people on my level on Ishgar." Wed introduces himself as Wed, number one with the sword in Giltina. ERZA says, "You seem quite confident in your skills. What business do you have with me?" Wed says, "It's obvious, isn't it? Determining which of us is stronger." So this literally is just a test of strength for Wed, and I kind of like it. Simple motivation, might be some more down the road, but I'm excited to see where this fight leads off. As ERZA does seem to be struggling at the start of the fight, but now since she re-equipped into her Fire Empress armor, she seems to be getting a footing now. She states, "I'm not interested in this. Those are the words of one who wields a blade? My sword isn't for being the best. I wield it to protect my friends." Wed says, "I see. That's a fine stance to take. But battle can come when you least expect it, and you can't escape it." So I like how Wed is basically being like, okay, that is a really good motivation, but you gotta be prepared for fighting, because that can happen at any moment. And look, ERZA mentioning that her sword is to protect her friends literally is in every fight that she has. Most of the time that ends up being her finisher. But this time, she's not finishing someone off with her little friendship speech as normal, so I expect this to be a tougher fight for her. Hopefully. I need ERZA's fights to have more of a back and forth, in my opinion, because they've just been a bit predictable at this point, and I really don't want that to be the case, because she is literally my favorite character in all of Fairy Tail. But ERZA just states, and honestly I love this shot of the shadow of ERZA with the flaming ship in the background, stating, "I have no intention of running or letting you escape either. I have no interest in seeing which of us is stronger. She picks up her sword and says, but when someone picks a fight with me, I don't back down. So yeah, she is literally being like, okay, you want to challenge me? Fine, let's go. I like this. I really do, and I can't wait to see more of this fight. Now back to the saloon, we cut back to Gray and Lucy basically interrogating the bartender, being like, come on, you gotta tell us where the Fire God's castle is, and the guy thinks they're all insane. But Wendy notices that, where did Natsu go? She doesn't really, probably lost his scent. But she notices something, the smell of some sort of fire, like a building burning. She runs out the building to see where she is, and realizes now she's in a forest. And she's wondering what's going on. She turns around and sees that the saloon is gone as well. But something in silhouette off in the corner is like, there's nobody here, as we then see a giant flower man. Which, if you haven't read Mashima's other works, this is actually Nakajima from Rave Master. Quick thing, I've actually been reading Rave Master a little bit off on the side. I'm like 50 chapters in, might make videos on it at some point, just on my reading journey through it. Haven't decided on that yet, got a lot on my plate. But I've been enjoying what I've read so far. But yeah, Wendy's kind of caught off guard with a talking flower floating in the air, and Lucy goes out to see where one is, as she's also caught in this little bit of an illusion. But she's then floated up into the air, and she's like, what's going on? As someone just says, a beautiful young lady, would you play a cuddle game with me? As this literally freaks Lucy out. As we have Raj up on top of the saloon, laughing his ass off, saying they have no idea that these are illusions I made with flames. So yeah, the little jello guy is actually a Griff from Rave Master as well. So that is another interesting thing to point out. So, 2 Rave Master references in a singular chapter. But if you think Mashima's done, yeah, he ain't done just yet. So as Raj says, these are characters from my favorite manga series. Obviously Mashima tooting his own horn a little bit, which honestly he deserved it. Rave Master was a success, and people still love Rave Master to this day. He goes on to name these 2 characters, Nakajima, Griff, but he says, best of all, we get left off of a cliffhanger, with Gray being in an icy area, as he's wondering what this place is. And it's freezing, which for Gray to say that it's freezing, that shows the level of the illusion being able to mess with Gray's senses, because the cold shouldn't affect Gray whatsoever. He's an ice make wizard and an ice devil wizard. But someone off in the corner says, this is the demon world, catching Gray off guard, as the final page of the chapter reveals Hein from Dead Rock. This is Hiro Mashima's latest manga that I have been covering monthly on the channel. I've been loving so far, and you really should go read it if you have the chance. It's honestly a very good read, and it does feel different from what Mashima usually draws and writes. But Hein was a really cool character in that series, and the story's been pretty interesting. I'm not going to say anything else about Dead Rock. Go read it for yourself or check out my videos on it, so you can get an idea of what the series is about, and maybe you'll really enjoy it as well, and to see what Hein is. So, the chapter ends with the reveal of Hein saying that this is the freezing demon world. So, first off, Raj doing a pretty good job, a lot of a better job than I was expecting at fooling everybody. It seems that he's upped his illusions to mess with people's senses to an extent, because I know Natsu was basically able to see through the illusion because he couldn't smell burning, but this is another level of illusions not fully panning out for Raj. But in this instance, I do kind of like how it's fooling everybody right now, it's disorienting them right now. But depending on how these illusions work out, Raj just screwed himself by having Hein fight Gray. Why? Because Hein's magic is ice. Gray's magic is ice. He's an ice devil slayer. He can eat other people's ice, and he could probably just win pretty quickly, especially if he uses his devil slayer magic. But I do think that since this is based off flames, this isn't the case, and they're just messing with their vision. Gray and Wendy, Lucy, they'll probably find a way to break out of this illusion and take down Raj and ask where the Fire God Castle is, because that seems to be where things go. And ERZA, either their fight will end in a draw, or she'll lose. I don't see her beating number 2 of Fire and Flame at the start of the arc. I really don't. That would just take away any build-up for Wed and Fire and Flame as a whole, because this is the second strongest in that whole guild, and ERZA beats the guy at the very beginning of the arc. It just takes away a good chunk of the tension that doesn't revolve around Ignia. But this is a really fun chapter. I like the Rave Master and Dead Rock reference. Mashima patting himself on the back as usual, I guess, because he likes referencing his other works. The fight with ERZA and Wed seems to be going pretty evenly at this point. It doesn't seem like both of them are going full on at the moment. And I do like the choreography of the fight with this being all the different sword plays, the parrying, the dodging, the barely blocking. And I like that ERZA is using her Flame Empress armor, because it is one of my favorite armors, as I stated beforehand. And I can't wait to see her use this a good chunk of this arc, because Fire Wizards, she has to wear something to give her a bit of resistance to fire. At least that's my opinion. But what did you guys think of this chapter? I know this review was a bit short, but Fairy Tail chapters tend to go by pretty quickly, so I'd say it's a bit of an even trade. But what do you guys think of this chapter? How do you think the fight between ERZA and Wed is going to go? How do you feel like the illusions are going to play off with Raj? And do you think he's just going to get one shot by Gray and then spill the beans on Ignia's location? Your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I'm making on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm loving Fairy Tail, and I'm loving these Fairy Tail Friday videos. Let's keep going strong with these, because man, I am really loving the series all over again.